How's it going there, Reject Nation? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We're going to do something pretty experimental here today. We have not seen each other's lists. First thing I'm going to say, haven't seen each other's list. But I was like, you know, I imagine that one day there's going to be people who are like, hey, let's do an American remake of Squid Game. I know it's easy to roll your eyes at and gawk at. And honestly, when I first was like pitching this idea to John, I wasn't thinking this, but eventually, you know, I haven't seen John's list yet. But by the time I got to my list, I was like, actually, this would be pretty cool. You might not be, you'll be like, no, I mean, overall, I'm like, you probably shouldn't do it. Most likely.
No, you probably shouldn't.
But who knows? Maybe one of us might be able to open your guys' eyes to doing an American remake of Squid Game. There'll probably be some spoilers in here. But all right, John, I'm just so curious to know what you got to say. So let's have you go first, bud.
Okay, so for mine, this is going to be set in the States because, you know, American remake, we got to bring it home, but it'll still be kind of multicultural. I want it to be, you know, a broadcast. So the first character, obviously, Gi-hun, start with our protagonist. I deliberated over this a little bit. There was one person I really want to cast, and I ultimately went against that choice of Owen Wilson. What I finally arrived at, my casting for Gi-hun would be Steven Yeun, because I think that he's got that everyman quality. He can be kind of roughed up and down on his luck, but he can also be very sweet and very charismatic and very endearing. And I feel like he is at the right age bracket, getting a little bit older than, you know, what we associate him with on The Walking Dead. Now is the time where he's trying to prove a little bit more of his dramatic chops, and I think it would be interesting to see him play a character that is also not as strong at the core at the start of something. So that's who I'm going with for this one.
Okay. For like all the reasons you said are why I have my choice.
Okay.
Of an actor who's especially been proving his dramatic chops as of late and putting himself out there with versatility. Someone could have a bit of that like also likable, affable quality and also be an underdog.
Uh-huh.
So for Gi-hun, I would choose Chris Pratt. I think Chris Pratt in particular mine would still be set in Korea, by the way. I wouldn't set this in America. I think for Korea, he would be perfect because he's an international star. And I feel like part of the problem with Squid Game was that he was an unknown. And I think having a major superstar in there would help elevate the material. And he's got that like, just imagine when he's like thrusted into the position and he does that familiar, bewildered look that Chris Pratt does. What is it? And I'd make him more of a lead too. You know, like I probably, you know, pump up the gas on the arc, like a red light, green light. He would start leading everyone.
Yeah, he would rally them together, right?
I'd imagine Chris Pratt probably asked for that too, so I'd rather just get it out of the way in the writing. But that's who I would choose for Gi-hun, who I personally think is a stronger choice than Steven Yeun.
You know, yeah, you're probably right. But
who do you got next?
Let's go with Sang-woo. Let's work our way down the chain of prominence in terms of impact on the team. You know, Sang-woo is a straight-laced character. I haven't renamed everybody yet, but he's a guy with a big education and a lot of status, but also a lot of darkness beneath that, a lot of things to hide. So he can be very affable and very charming when he needs to be, or at least, you know, sort of sensible seeming, but there's also that percolating darkness at the core, and I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be a great choice for that. Kind of like Steven Yeun, he's growing up a little bit into more mature roles, heavier roles, a little bit more the man Joseph Gordon-Levitt than the boy. I feel like kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio, he's been trapped as a boy for a long time. He and Steven Yeun are also kind of close, I think, in age range, and so Sang-woo knowing Gi-hun growing up, I think they would be a good kind of back and forth between them.
That's true. I mean, first off, my character names, I'm going to keep them all the same. I think just, you know, branding recognition.
Authenticity is important, yeah.
It really helps, you know, IP recognition. So all my characters are going to be named the same still.
Okay.
But yeah, I was thinking of a guy, too, who has, like you said, a percolating darkness within him. Someone who also, like, Sang-woo was, like, really smart. Like, that was a big part of someone who went to, like, Seoul. Was it Seoul University, I think, or was it Phoenix State University? Seoul?
It's DeVry.
DeVry. No, you're messing with me.
Sorry, I won't. I'll take this seriously.
So with Seoul, and I was like, which actor can really bring that heft that also wouldn't be distracting and perhaps can play up some of the manipulation quality. So that's why for Sang-woo, I chose Seth Rogen. I think Seth Rogen has really shown a lot more of his dramatic work as of late. Jobs, He's good in jobs, and like that character who can also, like you trust at first. You see he's smart, but he can also like trick you. I mean, imagine like when they're doing the one with the shapes, he would be like,
Honeycomb game.
I'm going with the triangle. You should probably go with an easier one. Follow your gut. Go with umbrella. You believe him, and I think he would bring the right like best friend you can trust quality.
Yes, I have to agree with you. All right, well, why don't we move on from there to the most beloved character out of this whole thing? And I deliberated very hard, and it's funny because I looked at other fan castings so as to not overlap too hard. There's one actor I would have loved to have chosen from the season of Hill House #2 I'm forgetting the title of, but the ultimate one I landed on is a bit of a curveball. I would love to see Oscar Isaac jump into a completely sympathetic role, because Oscar Isaac lately he gets thrust into these as Ali. Like I said,
okay.
We're talking about Ali.
Sorry.
We're talking
thinking about how great my choice is.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to hear it because it's probably going to blow mine out of the water. But I think Oscar Isaac has the vulnerability and he has that warmth. He can access it. I feel like he gets tapped to play a lot of characters who are stern or tough or have some kind of darkness and coldness. But I feel like that does exist within him. And for me right now, even though he is a big name, I would love to see him embody a character that is so compassionate and so trusting, and see how he breaks our hearts with that. He's not of Pakistani descent, obviously borrowing from a slightly different set of politics. That character left Pakistan to pursue opportunity in Korea. Oscar Isaac has South American descent, so, coming from that angle, being set in America, I feel like you could create perhaps politically different but also still salient parallels.
Interesting choice. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Why don't you guys decide?
That's absolutely, yeah.
It's funny because Ali's my favorite character too in the show, but I feel like for very different reasons. Like, I think about Ali, he's shorter than everyone else.
He's short.
He's shorter than everyone else. He seems like really fast. That's a big part. He's like a big ball of energy. So that's why for Ali, I would choose Charlie Day, who is of Pakistani descent, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So I'm staying true to the roots. I know a lot of mine has been kind of race swapping, but I want to keep this one sincere and accurate, considering Ali's my favorite.
Absolutely.
And so I think Charlie Day, imagine him being kind of like Scratch from Ice Age when they're playing like red light, green light, like red light, green light.
Yeah.
Red light, green light.
That's Ali's energy, yeah.
Or when the prison riot's happening, he's like, oh my God, everyone's killing us. That's what we're going to do. We got to like, go move on.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like this would also be a chance for Charlie Day to showcase some more of his dramatic chops.
Definitely.
So, Charlie Day, I would say Ali, Pakistani actor, Charlie Day.
Great. Good representation there. I'm glad that you did some diverse casting
No problem.
At some point here. Let's move on to, I know, your other favorite character, definitely out of the series, and one of everyone's favorite female leads, Mi-Nyeo, whose name I'm probably butchering, I am going to be a heathen and rename all of these from my remake. But there was only one name that came to mind for some reason to this role. And I think she would be perfect because when she plays wily and manipulative characters, I think she can access the same sort of off-the-leash, wild, unpredictable energy. And that is Julianne Moore.
Oh,
I
nice.
think she
Not a
would,
bad call.
I think she...
I could really see that.
Finally, thank you.
Sincerely, I can see that.
That was the first name that came to mind, and I can just see it. When it's in my mind's eye, I'm like, she would be perfect. She would have that crazy, unpredictable energy, and when it's time for her to really make some harsh moves that grip you, I think she would have everybody's attention.
Surprisingly, this was a really hard one for me to do. When I was first looking at, how do you say her name?
Mi-Nyeo?
That's not going to work
That's
for
my
me.
guess.
When I would first imagine the character, I was like, I guess I could maybe see even like an Anne Hathaway or something like that, right?
That is
like a good
dramatic
dramatic actress.
a good ingenue, yeah.
Good dramatic actress. It was when I saw the dub when it clicked for me. Just like, who is a woman who is just so annoying in this business? That's why I'm going with Katherine Heigl.
Oh, good.
I think Katherine Heigl and the reputation she's sort of generated for herself over the years as this difficult to work with actress, and seems to and she is getting older, and the way how what's her name?
Mi-Nyeo.
Wow, that is not going to land. I'm going to rewrite that character's name. So
do your thing.
The way how Katherine Heigl embodies just the frustration of an actress who should be more grateful and is probably very insecure, and that's why she takes it out on people and manipulates her way into roles. I would go Katherine Heigl for Mulan on this one.
I know how I don't want to taint your opinion, but I feel like if she could access that level of insanity, it might be pretty compelling. So not bad.
Well, I'm changing the background where she's playing Katherine Heigl.
Oh, she's playing herself.
She's
though.
essentially going to play herself. It's a satire. It's a commentary.
Okay, sure.
Please continue.
Why not? Let's go to some people's favorite heartthrob on the show. The beautiful number 67, Sae-Byeok, Pickpocket. Everyone loves her. I deliberated hard over this. There were a couple people that came to mind. I know a lot of the fan castings were, I'm not even going to say because I don't know what you're going to say, and I know this is serious business. So one name that came to mind, I thought maybe I feel like Jennifer Lawrence could do this, but I want to see somebody else who's a little younger and who can really embody that anger and that quiet hurt that character has, who can really be introverted but in a very compelling way to watch. And funny enough, even though I haven't seen her in a million things, Storm Reed, I think, could do that role, especially after watching...
What's Storm Reed especially known for?
The Suicide Squad most recently, but like A Wrinkle in Time. She's much younger in A Wrinkle in Time, but she's Bloodsport's daughter in the Suicide Squad.
Not bad
so
choice.
That scene that she has with him, and even in the brief moments outside of that scene, I was like, yeah, I still believe all that backstory that you have here, and you have a lot of presence even though you're a small moment in this movie. And so I feel like she could embody that compelling sort of silent, like, what's going on under there? Like, there's something, I need to know more about this character kind of energy. And I think, too, bringing that compassion to her little brother and all that stuff, I think she would really be able to nail all that.
Yes, you need an actor who can provide quite a variety, especially one who, like, she has the role, Sae-Byeok, of more like, I love those body language roles where it's like all in the eyes and reserved and dark, but then you do find out that there is a compassionate angle to them, like you were saying. So when really going through my list, there was only one person who really stuck the landing for me. So for Sae-Byeok, I would choose Zach Galifianakis. I think... Zach Galifianakis.
What are you laughing about? I'm sorry. I was thinking of something unrelated.
I'm so jubilant towards this thought.
I had so many expectations for this one.
But I think Zach Galifianakis, if you've seen him in anything, you see that he can also, like, he's so compelling when he's being quiet, but you can feel there's a side of him that can be kind of intimidating, like sheltered but has a presence.
Yeah.
I feel like Zach Galifianakis just has all the qualities. Like when I'm seeing Sae-Byeok, honestly, there were times watching Squid Game where I'm like, I'm having a hard time not seeing Zach Galifianakis.
It crossed my mind a time or two also.
Yeah. But who do you got on your list
next? Well, hey, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's go with a scoundrel, Deok-Su, a character.
Yeah, he's great.
And this was the hardest one, I think, for me to cast because I think there are a couple. Yes, there are a couple choices where I'm like, I would absolutely want to see this person, and this person take it on. Adrian Brody first came to mind, but I was like, you know what? I want somebody a little more broad in the character because this guy's a slimy guy. He is not only just a gangster, but he's a bit of a lowlife too. Exactly. And so it came down neck and neck to me between John Leguizamo or Benicio del Toro.
Ooh, both good choices.
And I think ultimately I might, in this day and age, go with Benicio just because he can do the whole range. Although Leguizamo, I think, has just that perfect level of, like, he can play interesting and nuanced, but also a slime. So that was a really hard one to deliberate between.
Those aren't bad choices at all. I like how diverse your cast is turning out to be.
Thank you.
But I think that when especially if you're setting it in like Korea for mine, you want to keep the race consistent. So
absolutely.
How do you pronounce this character's name again?
Deok-Su?
Okay. So for Deok-Su, same thing of what you were saying. Someone who is kind of slimy. And I was like, who's like a slimy, controversial figure? Someone who would just like betray you just for their own benefit, right? Like what actor can really embody that? And who has because he has a very specific look, kind of heavy, a little bit longer hair, and that's why I went with Jay Leno. I think Jay Leno, after the events that took place with Conan O'Brien, I'm like, guys, he's practically Deok-Su in real life.
He is. He jumped off the bridge to avoid Conan at one point. Yeah,
he's essentially him, and he even kind of looks like him.
A lot.
The features are similar.
Can you imagine that snake tat on his chin?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be crazy. I mean, can you imagine Jay Leno and Katherine Heigl having relations in a bathroom?
I want to not have to imagine it. I want to see it.
I feel like it would leave more of an impact than the original Squid Game, to be honest. So I think Jay Leno definitely has like just the real life qualities of Deok-Su.
Yeah, he's lived. Yeah, he wouldn't have to build much of a character,
and he probably owes a lot of people money.
Yeah. He can drive one of his fancy cars to set. All right, well then let's move on outside of the game now. What about let's see, Jun Ho. Jun Ho,
Gotcha.
Very cool character, very calm and collected character, very competent character. You need somebody who's young. He seems like he's a young detective. Out of all the things in Squid Game, he's probably the most cool thing. So you need an actor who's like kind of cool, but can still play that sort of silent, like I get shit done sort of vibe. And I went kind of off the beaten path for this one. I deliberated hard because nobody really came directly to mind. And I also thought, okay, I got to also link this guy to the frontman, and I had a better idea of who I thought the frontman might be. So for Jun Ho, I am casting an actor named Manish Dayal, who I know as a guest star on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's done a bunch of other things too. Again, young guy who looks like he could fill a similar kind of role as this detective. Like, I'd buy him if he was like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to unravel some kind of crime conspiracy, and also, you know, having at least a little personality to make him seem like a compassionate character underneath mostly just a bunch of badass action he gets to do.
Okay. I mean, the qualities of the frontman, I mean, I talk about the detective, but I want to know, like, beforehand, like, can you just tell me, like, who is your frontman? Because, I mean, the qualities of frontman are pretty obvious, but who is your frontman? Because they have to play the brother, right?
Yeah.
So who is he?
My frontman is Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed. Interesting choice. Why Riz Ahmed?
Because he, much like, I know his name, damn, Byung-Hun Lee, he has a certain status as an actor that precedes him, so that when the mask comes off, you're like, oh, it's you. And he also has a lot of presence. He can, you know, be very gripping and stern. I feel like he would have to maybe bulk up a little bit because he's kind of a skinny guy, but I feel like he could easily be that guy's brother, maybe of a couple years older, and also carry a certain, like, you know, I could see how these guys are cut of similar cloth, but also how this guy is of a much more intense stripe now.
Yes. Okay, so for me, my choice is for Jun Ho and the frontman. For Jun Ho, I was thinking the same thing. Someone who could be like kind of sneaky, stealthy, might look like a really nice guy at first, but really is actually can be a threat when necessary. And Neil Patrick Harris was the first person that came to mind for me. I think the great thing about Neil Patrick Harris is that whenever you see him on screen, you don't see Neil Patrick Harris.
No, I almost cast him in one of these other roles.
You only see the character that he's playing. Now, Gone Girl, all I saw was that character. The Matrix Resurrections trailer, I was like, oh wait, that's Neil Patrick. I see past
the Harold and Kumar films
all the time. The Harold and Kumar films, even there. So then I thought, okay, but the frontman has to be his brother, who can embody kind of that stoic presence underneath the mask and also looks like Neil Patrick Harris. So for the front man, I'm going with Tilda Swinton. I think Tilda Swinton just looks the most like Neil Patrick Harris out of any other actor I could think of, more than even that guy in Malcolm in the Middle. I think Tilda Swinton, really, she hasn't had an opportunity to take over a role yet that was originally designed for a man. So I think that would be interesting to see. The kind of personalities that both Neil Patrick Harris and Tilda Swinton bring are very similar, and I think they're acting, if you look at their roles, you could really just swap them out with each other, and they pretty much be the same thing. So I feel like they're just a perfect fit, and Tilda Swinton's just more intimidating than Neil Patrick Harris. Just the right quality. You get older brother vibes from Tilda Swinton.
I think she is more intimidating than Neil Patrick Harris, for certain. Good match. A good match there.
But now the big one.
The big one.
There's one more left that we
who's
today.
Behind it all? all and who is also so lovable that it hurts.
So curious to know who you got.
I deliberated hard on this one, and I feel like this is going to be my most off the rails take for this, because I thought of, like, especially in the States, I'm like, who are some of our older actors who are kind of, I don't want to say ancient, but who are like, very much getting on in years, but who can also be very lovable, who can also bring you in and really make you hurt and feel for them, and then who can also make you feel like, oh, you do have the capacity for this whole twisted thing. And I thought, man, somebody like a Clint Eastwood has the age factor and maybe some of the warmth factor, but who's got the crazy when it counts, and who could also probably throw you off during the dementia moments, and who also has that toothy grin, is Christopher Walken. Think if you shaved his head or you cut his hair short and you actually had him in a mode to bring a performance and not just, hey, it's me, dude, Squid Game. If you had him bring a true performance, I think that could be, because by the end he has to be able to command that heaviness of presence and to be like, wow, I can see how you did all this. And I think he's got the spectrum for both.
Interesting.
And he's getting pretty old now. So
I actually thought you were going to say Alan Arkin for a second.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
That's not what you chose?
That's not what I chose.
Wow.
Because Alan Arkin was probably like second person, and I really thought you were leading there.
I got to tell you, I'm kicking myself for not going Tobin Bell on this one. It's right there.
I was like, okay, who could be better than Alan Arkin? And I was thinking about all the qualities of this old man who decided to take this adventure in life just because he's old and he's got nothing else better to do by this point. He's bored. You feel sorry for him. Might have some type of like mental conditions he's dealing with due to physical ailments as well. Your lovable grandpa character, but you can tell there's something suspicious about him that might not be as lovable as it's put on the forefront. And that's why for Ilnam, I'm going with Joe Biden. I think President Joe Biden, especially as the character, like when you think about that dementia scene too, when they're playing the marbles game, it's kind of like makes you think of the debates a little bit, right? And so I think Joe Biden, funny enough, maybe we should make Donald Trump while we're at it. So,
yes. Let's just make it the entire 2020 electoral race.
Duck Sue might be a great Trump might be a great Duck Sue. Now that I think about it.
Give me your egg. Why did I only get one egg? I'm going to push you on the grass.
Every guy cheats people. And it's probably a lot of money.
Actually,
Donald Trump's probably a better pick.
Uncle Joe, I can see it.
But Joe Biden, just like let's face it, probably it's like, oh my God, there's only so many years to live. I'm a little bored. Let me run for president. And sometimes people might not think I'm present all the time. And I just feel like
this is what I do on presidential vacations. Like I'm here.
I feel like Ilnam, Joe Biden make a great Ilnam.
I think you're correct. I want that version. I want to see it.
So yeah, guys, I think those are the picks.
Those are the picks. I mean, we should next time we should cast the VIPs.
We should.
I
was thinking Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump,
Jared Kushner, Steve Bannon, all those guys.
Yeah, just throw them all in the.
Yeah, man, Scaramucci. Where's your boy?
Steven Crowder.
Where's the guy who didn't kill himself? Put him in there. Where's Epstein?
But guys,
Epstein loves a Squid Game.
That's our list. My film would be directed by the man the Rock keeps working with.
Oh, Rawson Marshall Thurber?
Yeah, the director of Jungle Cruise.
Oh, no, Yome Kale Sarah?
That guy.
Yeah.
I forget what he's done. And a
good horror movie. And then a lot of blockbusters.
And I would get Freeberg and Seltzer to be co-writing this with Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orci.
Yeah, totally. Good. Definitely.
So, yeah, guys.
Avi Arad's going to produce it.
Avi Arad would produce it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So this is just where I'm at. I'd also, I think a show is too long. I'd make it probably a 2-hour movie. So
shave it to 90 minutes, man. No fat.
You gotta have some breathing
Make it
room
like a
in this,
Saw
John.
movie. Yeah, I know.
Make it like a 2-hour movie. But yeah, guys, between our picks, which ones do you think would work best? Subscribe, click that notification bell. Why don't you go ahead and hit that like button? And hey, we'll catch you guys soon. Thanks so much for being here. Spread the word about this video, because when they do the inevitable casting, I want to get credit.
You want to know to give credit to.
I want to get credit.